Welcome to another episode of Muay Thai Save Me, guys. My name is Kru Neil. If it's your first time tuning into our show, basically Muay Thai Save Me talks about how people use Muay Thai and how it's impacted their life, you know, in an amazing way. And today I'm actually really excited. I've been trying to get this gentleman with us, but schedules just haven't been aligning until today. I have across from me Coach Mike.
What's up, everybody?
Michael Pierce, originally from New York. Thank you for hanging out with me today,
Thank you for having me. It's been a while, but here we are.
I know. So I know a lot of people are excited for you to be on the show. They have a lot of questions. I was even thinking one of our members, Andrea, from our Glendale location, had a list of questions.
Yes.
She emailed you, right?
Okay.
I thought it would be fun to help her get her questions asked. And I guarantee there'll be other people that probably want to know that same information.
All right,
too.
let's do it. Okay. Thank you, Andrea. All right, this is a basic question. I feel like a lot of people want to know this one. How did I find Muay Thai, and how old was I? So in general, with numbers, I'm horrible. So I won't remember when I was. I don't remember what age it was. It's really strange. I don't remember how I found out about Muay Thai.
Wow.
I remember when I knew what it was. So I remember that I started, like, a certain time in my life, I started looking at videos of it, like YouTube, and I think I saw a Tony Jaa. And I remember Ong Bak. Remember, that's when I first knew what it was.
Okay.
In general, like, I grew up in Brooklyn. Brooklyn had a lot of martial arts. There wasn't Muay Thai at the time that we knew of, and it was a big boxing capital. So everybody knew boxing. If you were doing anything with legs, they'd make fun of you. So if you did Taekwondo and you were kicking, you'd be like a weirdo. Or like, if you did anything with legs, they automatically said, oh, that's the Kung Fu kid. You know? So that's how I found out about Muay Thai. I would say I found it through the internet.
Okay.
And age-wise, I was definitely older than most people assume, you know? So I definitely started fighting later, training. I started fighting almost 1 year after I started training. Okay.
Did you have your first fight in New York, or did you have it elsewhere?
So my first fight was in Thailand. Okay. I've never fought in America, actually. That was one of her other questions. Cool. So what happened was, after I knew what Muay Thai was, I started, like, deep dive down the rabbit hole. Started, like, consuming, oh, this is so cool, blah, 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 all this stuff. And then I was working at Harley Davidson at the time. Oh, wow. And I didn't really like the job. I was selling motorcycles to people who shouldn't be buying motorcycles. So, like, my job was, like, selling things, right? People would come in, zero credit, and our job was to, like, you can afford this. You know, like you're, like, selling, you know, you have to sell. So we'd get a guy come in, and he'd have, like, he needed a co-signer. So he'd bring his wife, and he'd bring his side chick. Whoa. You know, like, or, like, you know, people, like, you look at someone's salary, and, like, there's no way you can afford this, right? But we had to get him on that bike. So, so I did that, and I was like, I was like, all right, I'm gonna quit this job in the summer. I told him I was leaving, so I just sold as many bikes as I could. It sounds bad. I'm giving back now, though. Sold as many bikes as I can. Took that money, and then it was like, I'm going to Thailand. I don't know where to. I knew nothing about Thailand. I was like, where am I gonna go? How does it work? I don't speak Thai. I've traveled, but I've never been to Asia. Never been to Southeast Asia. What's it gonna be like? I already know there's not enough Americans, there's not a lot of people that look like me. Like, what's it gonna be like? So at the time I had Instagram, and there was a guy, my mother's family from the Caribbean, and there was another guy from the Caribbean that I saw on Instagram, and he was from an even smaller island. Wow. DC Pratt is his name. I haven't spoken to him in a while.
What island is your family
My
from?
family's from Antigua and Grenada.
Oh, okay.
So Antigua's super small, Grenada's a little bigger. Grenada's closer to Venezuela.
Okay.
And I just hit him up. I was like, hey, I want to come to Thailand. I don't know how to make it happen. I don't know how to get there. Where should I train? Do I need a visa? Any of that stuff. At the time, he was training in Isan, which is like one of the most rural provinces of Thailand for everyone. It's the north, but not Chiang Mai North. It's the east. And he said, all right, I'm going to give my coach your number, and he's going to call you. So I gave him a number. Coach called me immediately. Wow. One of the greatest fighters of all time, Lam Namoon Sarsumali. Wow. Golden era fighter, so look him up if you like knees and really old school fights. So he called me immediately on WhatsApp video chat. It's also my first time hearing somebody speak with a Thai accent, English, so I barely understood him. But he called me and he's like, DC says you want to come to Thailand. And I was like, yes. And he's like, all right. And then he hung up on me. And then he called back, he video called me, and he was like, all right, when do you want to come? So I told him, I was like, how long? He's like, he said, how much? He told me. Then he hung up again. Then he called me back and he was like, do you eat pork? I was like, yeah, I eat everything. And then he hung up, he called me back, he said, you sure? And I was like, yeah. He's like, okay, you have a beard. I thought you were a Muslim. So I was like, I want to make sure we have everything. You know, he was just trying to be accommodating,
yeah,
right?
I love it.
So that was that. So I quit that job, went to Thailand for 3 months. At the time, that gym had a lot of Thai fighters, young boys, and a really good foreign team. I had trained in New York a few times. Actually, the first gym I trained at before I left was the WAT, W-A-T.
Yes.
Phil Nurse is the head coach there. He used to train GSP and Johnny Bones Jones. Really great gym. He's like originally from England, a great fighter there. So besides that, I was training. At the time, I thought I was training seriously, but it was really like just that person that's in the gym, out the gym, working, in the gym, out the gym. I didn't really know what serious training was. Got to Thailand, super green. And Isan training is a little different than the rest of Thailand. It's very repetitive. So 12K run in the morning. Then you go to train, you jump rope for 30 minutes. Then you jump on the tire for 15 minutes. You still haven't hit anything yet. Then 100 push kicks, 200 skip knees every morning. And from there, I just learned how to Muay Thai. Like, you know, the basics of it, how to spar, going to fight, seeing what it was like. The first time I saw fights, they had like a festival fight. You just go like in the middle of nowhere. They set up all these fences and gates, and this is my first time like seeing fights there. So after that, I was pretty much hooked. Went back to America, sold like the car I had at the time. I had a motorcycle, sold that, sold wherever I could, and then came back. And when I came back, that's when I had like my first fight.
Ah, wow. How did you feel that moment when you're in the ring and the bell's about to ring, like round one? How were you feeling in that moment?
So the gym I was at the time, like how MTK has its own culture, all the gyms in Thailand also have their own culture. And the gym when I was at Lam Namoon, the group of foreigners that we had around us, they were all like, not party animals, but they were just wild boys. Like, go out and fight, have a lot of fun. The young kids were like all super like, just fight. And there was a fighter at the time. His name was Jordan Ko, and he was one of the best at that era, one of the best foreign fighters that were fighting. He sadly died in Bangkok cutting weight. But if you ever watch it, his ring entrances, he would come out dancing and singing. So we all had a lot of energy, and just watching these guys fight and what they would tell me, especially the Thai fighters and trainers, what they would always say is, whether you win or lose right now isn't important, right? It's like you don't have enough experience where that matters. You're going into the ring, you don't even know if you want to fight after 3 fights. You don't even know if you're a good fighter after 3 fights, you know? So go in the ring, fight, just have heart. So competition-wise, the only thing I was thinking about was, does it hurt? You know, like I was like, I wasn't worried about losing or winning. I was like, I've never, like everyone's limping after their fights, whether they win or lose, or everyone's shins are swollen, everyone's hurting. So like going into the ring, I wasn't nervous. I don't really get nervous before competition, but I do get that little sense of butterflies, which the more you fight, you learn, all right, go down. You tell it to go down, it comes up, and before it gets out of control, you're like, no, not today. And then you calm it down. So that I had to deal with. And I lost my first fight. How did I lose that fight? I lost it by decision. I've only been stopped once, and it wasn't a knockout, TKO. But I lost it by decision. I was fighting a much smaller guy. So for everyone, when you first go to Thailand and you're older, you don't have a lot of experience, they'll match you up with someone who is a lot more experienced, but you have a bigger size difference on. So they're better technically and experience level, but your size compensates for that. And they do that a lot if there aren't other foreigners your skill. So the older guy, he was a coach somewhere else. He just knew tricks that I didn't know. So he would score, And then he wouldn't clinch. He was a lot bigger, so he would put his hands on my neck and then put his legs in between my legs, so I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And I was just getting frustrated. I was like, I don't know how to stop it. And the coach just told me next time you just dump him. But I didn't have the knowledge or skill to do that at the time. But yeah, going into that, like it was like I've never been nervous about fights. Like as the more I fought, like I've been offered, like the last time I left Thailand, I've been offered fights like the day of, I take it. In my mind, I was like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? You know, it's just me. I don't have that fear of fighting, if that makes. I have a fear more of disappointing those who train me. So like, if I lose, I'm not really mad at myself. More, I feel like I'm embarrassing my coaches, or like, you've put more into me that I should give you a better outing, if that makes sense.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I think you're just a natural. Some people just are natural at fighting. They don't get weirded out by the crowd or the big stage. It's just like, yeah, let's fight.
Yeah.
You know? Well, let's do it. Yeah, you can't teach that. Like you either have it or you don't.
Yeah.
You know? I love that though. And so after that experience, rounds are finished. Round 5's over. You go into the center of the ring. Okay, you didn't win. How did you feel after that?
How did I feel?
How were the emotions? I mean, you just said that you felt like you let your trainers down and everyone that put into you.
Good question. I don't cry much, but I will cry when I lose. But not like a ball cry. Maybe you'll get like the silent crocodile tear, but it's more like my eyes get red and like they're super watery, and it's just like a real big hit of disappointment. Regardless, like even now to this day, regardless if it's a good show or not, I just get hit with that wave of, like, it's never anger, it's just like, oh, right? So like, just felt like I wanted to cry, but like all the coaches are just like, okay, all right. Another thing, a big thing about fighting different in Thailand and here is the pressure on a fighter is a lot different. So once you say you're a fighter, that's considered your job. So your job is to either go out there and win or lose. So I lost the fight, already, on to the next one. That's it. Like, you know, like there's no reason for you to be mad. You went out there, you didn't, you showed heart, you didn't lose. So it's not that big of a deal as long as you tried as best you can. It wasn't big money on it, so the gym isn't mad. You know, no one's really betting on me. I'm not important. So that was my initial wave. It's just like pure disappointment. First fight, to them, it doesn't mean anything. Like everyone there is like 300 fights, 40 fights. So everyone's like, oh, okay, good job, cool. They're not even talking about it. You know, all right. They're already watching like fights at the stadium on their phone, or they're like talking about the cockfights that they're going to the next night. So like that helped me realize like, all right, you know, this is important, but it's not that important. Like this is not world ending. If it was my first and last fight, then okay. But if you want to do this, get used to it. This is part of it. Like, it's not all winning.
I love that because I don't think people hear that enough. It's like a way of life. It's just, hey, let's try to get the win, but if we don't get it, it's okay. On to the next. Let's keep working. Let's keep back to work.
Also have this theory, especially like, so when I take that, whether you're a foreigner who goes and fights in Thailand, or whether you're a foreigner or you're a fighter here in America, something like a theory, or not a feeling I feel is people don't realize how unimportant your fights are, right? They're important to you, but people are like, oh my gosh, I'm a warrior. You're not a warrior. Muay Thai in America is a luxury, right? You're not fighting, even if we're a foreigner going there, you're not fighting to feed your family.
No.
You're not fighting, like there are people who are fighting because that's their way of survival.
Yes.
You're fighting is
because you love it.
Because you love it, right? And so it's not as important as you think it is, right? It's important to you because that's your thing, but in the grand scheme of what you're doing and what you're trying to bring out, everyone isn't going to look at you and say, well, you know what? They're going out there and they're doing all this and they're putting all this love into it. You put the love into it because you want to love it. Not because you want people to be like, you know what, that guy's a warrior, or he's putting everything on the line. You're really putting your body on there on the line, but that's your choice.
That's right.
You know, that's your choice. And once you make that choice, it's up to you. Yeah. But a lot of people have this feeling of self-importance of their fights, right? So I would never be like, oh my gosh, I've had all these fights and I've done this and I've done that. No one made me. I didn't have to do it because I needed to. Yeah. Like there are people who fight because they need to send money back home. People send their kids the age of 9 and don't see them again to a gym. Yeah. And that kid he's eating like a bowl of rice. He's sending all his money back. You know, like a coach I know Mr. Knock, he was, no, sorry, is it Mr. Knock? Pornsene. He got abducted by a gang, and the gang made him fight. Oh, you know, like, so, and he wasn't, like, he missed his family, and the gang made him fight, made these kids fight. Wow. So, like, what we're fighting for is for us. It's like selfish reasons, right? Mm-hmm. You know, make us feel better, make us feel like we're doing something. Yeah. So, yeah, what's that? Yeah.
Wow. I love it. Next question. What's on that list?
Oh, next question on the list. All right. How do I mentally prepare for fights? Mentally. So when I get a fight date, it's not really it's like I would say I get anxiety, but it's like subtle. So I won't be walking around stressed out, but I will have a problem sleeping for a while.
Really?
So I'll just be like, maybe I'll fall asleep, but then I'll wake up wide awake. You know, but nothing's on my mind that I know of. It's just like in the back. And I've tried all sorts of things. I've tried meditation music. I've tried listening to jazz. Most of the time I just have to like watch TV till I fall asleep. Okay. So I'll do that. And then like my normal ritual is I would, the day of, I'd only eat like liquids, like soup. Oh, wow. I'd only eat soup just because I always eat whatever I've been eating, so I don't change anything different. I'll eat soup, liquids with a lot of electrolytes, but nothing that's gonna make me bloated. Then I'll stop eating at least like 4 hours. I'll stop eating in the morning, and then I'll have like a small meal about 2 hours before we go to the stadium. And then at the stadium, I'll drink some water, and then maybe I'll do like a boiled egg. And mentally, I'm not a big fan of watching tape, for me in general. And I'm not a big fan of, again, for me, coming up with a different game plan for a different fighter. Me-wise, I don't want to know what you do because I don't want to look for it. So then I may see things that aren't really there. I may see someone knock someone out and be like, oh my gosh, the guy has a strong right hand. I probably didn't have to worry about it from the beginning. If I have a good defense, I shouldn't be worried about it. Absolutely. So I want my basics to be good, and I want to be able to
adapt.
I want to be able to adapt, right? So I want to be able to do what I do, and as something changes, all right, I can adapt, and my corner will help me adapt, all right, if I can't see it. Exactly. So mentally, I just want to make sure I am the solid fighter that I am. Like I'm not the strongest. I'm really strong. I have a really strong kick. Like I know that, but I'm not the strongest. I'm not the fastest. I'm not the quickest. But I do know I have really good fight IQ. So maybe that's because of like my confidence in my fight IQ. So yeah, I'm really willing to adapt.
Well, one thing I love too to add to that, because there's always someone faster and somebody stronger than you. But one thing I was taught is timing will always beat speed. Yep. You know, you don't have to be the fastest. Like I remember Yod Sanklai, he wasn't the fastest, but that dude was accurate. Like he would fight fast opponents and he would just blast them with all kinds of things. You know,
and I'll say like, I think this is something that a lot of fighters suffer from is fighting smart, right? So I mentioned this in sparring the other day. Like when say sparring is going on, and you know you're going to spar with somebody, but people are just going into sparring blind. Look at the person you're sparring with. Are they bigger than you? Should you be clinching them? You know, are they smaller and faster than you? Should you be trying to outspeed them? Is that person look a little winded? Push them, right? If I'm fighting someone, they look a little bigger than me and they're strong, then I'm just going to try to make them work a little, see what happens. You know, see what happens. Maybe, they look like they're a little winded. So now I push that. Forget what my plan was. They gave me an opportunity. I'm going to take that. So like, if I'm super strong and the person is tired, forget being super strong. Make them be tired, you know, then I can be strong after. So like just having that ability to adapt is something I really like to do.
I love that. I love, because I'm so with you on that, I was taught it and it made so much sense. Don't study film because that person can fight you differently the day of the fight. And if you prepared for a certain thing or you're looking out for a certain thing, you're looking for some that may never come because they completely change the game plan on you. But if you're just ready to adapt and just be fully ready, have good fundamentals, good defense, good cardio, you train really hard, let the rest take care of itself because we don't know what our opponent's going to do the day of the fight.
And I always think like I always tell people the one excuse no one has or should have is not having cardio. You can have bad defense, you can be bad at whatever, but somebody can be better than you, but you have just as much opportunity to get good cardio as everyone else.
Exactly.
Run, do your road work, jump your rope, do your rounds. There's no excuse for not having cardio.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. One thing I've always said too, I've said it to some of the members, it's funny how when I hear you talking about like strategic stuff and philosophy of Muay Thai, how we always see eye to eye.
Yeah.
I think on everything I've ever heard you say, I'm just like, Mike, I'm like, yes, you know.
The only thing, like sometimes people ask me like, hey, Kru Neil does it like this, Kru Neil does it like that. And I'll never say anything's wrong. I may say, hey, I don't do it that way. It's like everything has a pro and con. So like I block on the outside. And I know you block on the inside. And I've actually never asked you why. So why do you block on the inside?
So my thing is, I don't want to expose my rib cage. That if I'm too slow and the kick gets through, I'm gonna get blasted.
Gotcha.
But if my arm is always inside, it doesn't affect my punching. But if I happen to miss that block, I just get kicked in the arm as opposed to the rib. So that's actually the reason why.
And then I was just taught, like when you put it on the outside, if you're doing it strong, you make a wall. So if the person kicks you really hard, it's not gonna, it's kind of the same thing, just done in a different way. So if I make this wall here, it won't go past the knee and it won't hit you that way. So it's the same outcome, just different ways.
Yes.
And I think the only thing you do that I don't do, other thing is, but there's nothing wrong with it, you catch low kicks. But you catch them quickly. Like I saw you do it like quick, like catch and release.
It's a thing that I've seen. So I give that knowledge to certain people.
Oh, okay.
Because I never grab leg kicks myself. I never grab them, right? But I see it helps like David. It helps Ray.
They're quick.
So I just show them a quick little fit, but the objective is to make them think you're gonna catch. But the objective was just to set up the counter cross. Yeah.
Besides that, I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay, next question.
All right, next question. Drea killing it.
She's going to be so happy when this episode gets released.
What is the biggest difference between fights in the States and fights versus Thailand? Good question. It's going to be a lot of parts. One, I would say, is the power and the intent. So you'll see more strikes in a fight in the States, just more volume. You'll see a high volume in Thailand too, but there's more power behind every strike. And I think that's because of, one is the scoring system. Two, it's the amount of fights people are having. So you need to get the fight over as quickly as you can, right? So you can have another fight soon. And three, I would say, is just the difference in the technique of the fight. So as Westerners, not too many people have access to authentic Muay Thai. There's not a knock on anyone's gym. A lot of gyms started off as something else in America. So maybe a few years ago they were Taekwondo, maybe a few years ago they were karate. So now people are getting into Muay Thai and they're teaching it. So it's going to be, like as Americans in general, Westerners, we're more hands heavy all across the Western world. Punching. So you see a lot more punches here. And punches are also scored higher here than they are in Thailand.
That's true.
Also in Thailand, it's scored differently. So your kicks are going to be scored higher than your punches. Your punches will be scored very low. Poise and beauty and grace are scored. So if I block and my block is nice and clean, scored great. I can still block. If I'm off balance, not a great score. If you look tired, scored against you, right? I always say game face, right? Game face, no problem, right? So that's scored. There's a lot more clinching because there's more access to clinch, you know? And as I always tell you all, clinching isn't a part of Muay Thai. Clinching is Muay Thai, right? So me taking and saying, hey, clinching is a part of Muay Thai, that's like saying a punch is a part of Muay Thai. You can't have Muay Thai without a jab, you can't have Muay Thai without a clinch. So if you're not willing to clinch, which is fine, all fighters don't need to know how to clinch, but if you're not training clinch, you're not fully completing your Muay Thai.
Yes.
You don't have to be good at it, You can learn to neutralize it. You can learn to stuff it. But just if you don't train clinch, you're leaving a part of your Muay Thai unfinished. What else? The fights in Thailand. So Kru Neil and I are going to fight each other. We're in the same changing room. Right? We're getting dressed right next to each other. Maybe you play mental games. My last fight in Thailand, the guy came and shook my hand and just sat right next to me. This English guy. So weird. It was so weird. It was like, I think he was trying to psych me out.
Yeah.
I broke his arm. He didn't block. I broke his arm.
Hey.
So that's one. Then as you go down, you watch the next fight, which for some people can be unnerving, right? You watching the next fight as it's happening. You're sitting right by the ring. So the guy might come out on a stretcher right before you. Every fight, in general, it's changing a little now. Every fight, there's always going to be a white crew. The gamblers. My first fight in Thailand, I didn't know, so I was in the corner. The fight's over, and some Thai guys coming up to me, never seen him before. Never in my life. I'm like, who is this guy? I have no idea. My heart's racing. He's like, stop kneeing, stop kneeing, stop kneeing, stop kneeing. And I'm like, okay. And my coaches let him there, so I'm like, oh, maybe he owns the gym or something. Yeah. Turns out he was just a gambler. Like he was just trying to get a good fight. You know, in the fight, the gambling plays into the fight. So if there's a lot of, oh shoot, why can't I remember the name of it? But say the fight's good, and it's a close fight, which is what everybody wants. The gamblers will start to gamble more. And can you help me out? What's the name of the music we play in Muay Thai?
Well, we call it I don't know the name of it.
Yeah.
Geez, actually, that's a great question, Mike.
All right, yeah, there we go. Quiz, pop quiz, y'all. Find out the name. It's not called White Crew.
I know. Actually, no, I don't. Never mind.
Yeah. But also, so at a traditional fight, yeah, there you go.
There we go.
As the fight progresses, the music picks up, and you start to feed off of it. So those two with the gamblers go hand in hand. The more the gamblers are engaged, it kind of feeds into you. As you start to hear people say, hey, oh, right? You see money getting changed around. As that's done, if you have a good fight, the gamblers will come up to you. Maybe they'll give you a little bit of their purse because you won them money. Yeah. The last fight I lost in Thailand, I wasn't supposed to lose that fight. I just did bad outing. Gamblers came up to me. They were like, you lose me money. No. Like, not the bad, like, you lose me money, you're supposed to win that fight. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, bet on me next time, we'll win it back, you know? Yeah. That's a big difference. Also, I would say, other things, like you can wrap your hands and they can be concrete. You don't know what gloves you're getting. You may get some old gloves with like no padding. The referees are great in Thailand, great. They're really great about keeping you safe. You've seen them. They'll dive to stop your head from hitting the ground. A lot of them are ex-fighters, so they know when to let you go and when not to let you go. Just the environment of whether it's a stadium fight or like an outside fight, for the most part, there's not as many people, oh, knock them out, booing when there's clinching. People there they love fights, you know? So they're just there to see good fights. And I think that's a big difference also.
One thing I want to add to that too, Mike, is like the intention of fighting too, right? Like one thing I love about Thailand is the respect factor. They both understand, hey, we might have another fight in another week.
Oh, yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So sometimes when at the 5th round, they realize, all right, I got the fight won, then we back off. They'll kind of touch gloves a little bit, and it's like that acknowledgement, like, all right, we're settling down now.
For sure.
Right? And that conserves the quality of the opponent.
And also like to that, I wouldn't consider myself an A-level fighter. I would say BB plus, you know, BB plus. Especially in that level, we all love elbows, but you may not throw them because we've all seen each other on this circuit, and you know that person needs to make money next week, right? Us fighters, like us level fighters, we don't have a lot of money. We're always like, shoot, I need another fight. Got to pay for rent, got to pay for food, whatever it is. So like, if I cut that guy, I see him, he may not be able to fight again next week. Of course, we throw him. You know, like if you need to win, you need to win. But there's also that, like, all right, if you know you're gonna win, like you said, he has to work tomorrow or whatever. Yeah. Especially if you're fighting a Thai guy. Some of the Thai guys are fighting, and then they're also like taxi driver or whatever. You know, like they have another job or like whatever. So like it's weird sometimes. Like that's a fine line that happens also. But every time you fight a foreigner, so when it's foreigner against foreigner, it's always going to be war.
Yeah.
Always going to be war. Foreigner against foreigner is always going to be war. When you fight a Thai, you never know, right? Could be a Thai that, that wants to go out there and kill you. Could be a Thai that like literally maybe used to be a great fighter, maybe a little overweight, but like really needs this money. Can still beat you up, but probably has no cardio, you know, so you never know.
Wow. And then when you look at American fighters, it's just I'm going all out to the very, very end.
Yeah.
But it's just different.
Just different.
Yeah, just different. Yeah. I love it. Next question.
Next question.
Andre asked some great questions.
Yeah.
So.
This is one everybody wants to know. How is training, all this stuff is like related to Thailand. How is training Muay Thai in Thailand different than training here? So I'm going to start with one thing, and this I noticed later on. The overall approach to training in Thailand is different because whether you're there for a week or not, or whether you're there for a long time, people or the coaches in Thailand are training you for the long run. So they're not going to rush anything, right? You may have some fun, but the average person there is going to train. So here, everyone has to break up their training amongst their work schedule, right? Or their life schedule, their school schedule. So when you get your hour, you may be able to do 2 classes back to back, and then who knows? In Thailand, it's about 3 hours in the morning average, not including your run, and 3 hours in the afternoon average, not including your run, 6 days a week. So the amount of time you have to dedicate to whatever, you have a lot more time to get something done right. You'll never hold pads. It's usually, so a typical morning session at most gyms I was at, you do your run, you do your jump rope and stuff like I said, you might do a little bag work, then depends on the gym you're at, you'll do some either drilling or you do some sparring, or you're working the bag, one of those 3. While you're doing that, the coaches, you usually have a dedicated coach, they pull you out and you do your 5 rounds, and then you go back to doing whatever you want, or you go back to doing the sparring or whatever. After everyone's gotten their pad work done, you'll either do some drills, you do some more sparring, or you'll do clinch, and then after that you do your conditioning, whether it's pull-ups, kettlebells. Gyms now in Thailand are getting better with doing the strength and conditioning, so it's a lot more of it there, and it's caught up. And you'll do your abs, and then that's it for your morning session. Then the afternoon session comes in. It's a shorter run because it's hotter time during the day, but the session itself on the pads is a lot more intense. So the clinching is going to be longer. The pad work's going to be a lot more intense, and the overall vibe in the gym, it's a lot louder, it's a lot more energy. So that's one.
And then I want to say, probably goes back to the intention of why they're training. It's different. So their energy is different.
The energy is different.
They're smashing those pads every strike.
Actually, speaking of that, someone asked me, and I always tell people like, how do you train when I hit pads? I said I try to gas myself out every round. So I never try to say, hey, we're doing 4 rounds. Let me try to make it every 4 rounds. If I hit pads, I'm throwing 100%. As long as 100% that my pad holder can train.
Yes.
Everyone, don't beat up your pad holders. If you want to hit something hard, hit the bag hard. You can hit the pads with intention, but don't hit it in a way that's going to hurt the pad holder.
Exactly.
All right, you hit the bag hard because it doesn't hit back, and you keep your pad holders alive because we need good training partners.
Yes.
But yeah, so I want to push myself to the point where I'm gassed out every time, and then as you get into the ring, you already know what that feeling is like. Also say this in sparring, when you guys are gassed out and you're stopping, you're not training yourself to be in that mode. So your brain doesn't know how to think when you're tired because you've never allowed yourself to train when you're tired. So when you get in that ring and this person actually wants to kill you, your brain is like, oh my gosh, I've never been here before. What do I do? Survive. But if you've pushed yourself to that level where you're 100% gassed and you're still trying to throw 100%, your brain knows it can survive this situation. This is not a foreign thing. Like, we've been here before. All I need is my 30-second break. All I need is my 1-minute break. I'll be back, no problem. You know, so we have to push ourselves to that limit every time.
I love it.
You know, like even mental games, right? Sparring is going on class, and I say, you're either a shark or you're a guppy. If I'm sparring with you guys and I see the person sitting down, gassed out, I want you next. All right, I'm gonna eat you up, right? But if you don't show me that, then I'm like, oh, you're not weak. This is gonna be a good fight, right? Put on that game face. Don't let people know that you're tired if you are tired.
I love that.
Right? If you are tired, learn how to keep people away. You don't have to engage, right?
That.
You can always practice something. That's a real situation. You're tired in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
How are you gonna get away? How are you gonna defend? How are you gonna use your long range attacks?
Exactly.
You know, stuff like that.
Yeah, I love that because there's so many different styles of fighters, right? And like we said earlier, there's always someone stronger and faster than us. And if you're an aggressive fighter, there's always going to be someone who's just more aggressive than you. And I would hope that fighter knows how to adapt and change up their fight style. Because if not, that person who's more aggressive is going to eventually get the best of you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. Next question.
All right.
Yeah.
Here's a deeper one, right?
Ooh.
What made you put a pause in your fighting career to come to MTK and teach?
Ooh.
So for me, I've never fought and worked at the same time. So I've never, as much as I've tried to like, hey, get in shape, I've just like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna fight here this time in America. I've never learned the balance, and I have a really hard time saying, all right, I'm gonna work, I'm gonna train, I'm gonna work, I'm gonna train. So it's something I'm working on. But also, as this is where the question gets deeper. For me, one thing that I can say, like since I've started Muay Thai that I've actually been good at is Muay Thai. Whether it's to the community of Muay Thai, like if someone I met, any of you at the gym, right? If you're into Muay Thai, like I consider that part of my family. It's a niche community. You want to go to New York, go stay with my mom. You know, like if you're ever in my city, come stay with me. Like I'm really involved in it, and it's one thing of all aspects that I really think I'm good at. And as we get deeper, one thing I actually want to get better at is being a better person in general. And for me to be a better person, I wanted to remove myself from Muay Thai and start being a better person as myself, right? Whether it's like, you know, I've been bad to family, I've been bad to friends, I've been bad in relationships, like whatever it is, you know, like I need to be better at all of that, you know? You know, like I want to be better to like the people I've heard. I want to be better to the people I haven't heard. I want to be people that are like friends and family I don't even get to speak to as much anymore, you know? As much as Muay Thai has given me by going to Thailand, it has also been selfish, you know? Like I've missed weddings, I've missed family functions. I've been bad in relationships. I've put Muay Thai first through so many other things, either in my general life, like all that stuff, like business. I was really good at doing my business, you know, but I didn't separate business from Muay Thai, you know, so I put Muay Thai first. So like me coming here is like a clean slate. It's something I couldn't have done in Thailand.
Got it.
I wouldn't be able to separate Muay Thai from, which, you know, Muay Thai is life, but Muay Thai can't be life if you don't have a good life, or like if life isn't good. So I want to be better at life in general, whether it's to somebody that maybe I've slighted, or somebody I've done bad to, or somebody that maybe I should have just given more attention. So all that. So like now is my chance to work on that part of life also, and start to put as much effort into general life as I am in Muay Thai.
I love that. And it's cool like to see like how you implemented that with Muay Thai, but now you're taking what you've gotten from Muay Thai and you're putting it into other aspects of life. Just right, as a martial artist, in any martial art that you learn, it's all about constantly improving yourself, right? And improving your skill set. And it's cool to see you do that in a different realm for yourself, right? So I like that.
You know, because like I don't say Muay Thai is not easy, and it's not the only thing I'm good at, but it's one of the things I'm really good at in like more aspects than just fighting. You know, like it's something I'm really good at and something I love.
You're passionate about it. Too.
That's what it is. I'm passionate about it. You know, and at this point, Muay Thai isn't going anywhere. But you know, all I'm getting older, and I need to be like a better person. You know, so like I need to do self-improvement. You know, so if I stay the same person that I've been, and Muay Thai is getting better, at what point? You know, at what point does it catch up? You know, so like that's that. Yeah.
I like that. That was a deep question. I like that. What was that the last question she wanted to end
No.
with?
Do you want to end now?
Let's do that last question.
Okay, last question.
Ooh.
what is the greatest lesson that you've learned throughout your Muay Thai career? Yeah. All right. So, greatest lesson I've learned throughout my Muay Thai career. I'm going to say it's a combination of a few things. I've always been a humble person. Whether like, which can be, you can also be too humble at a certain point, you know? Especially like when I was, like say in my personal career of like selling myself as a personal trainer, I would never like go out and say like, hey, I'm really good. I would never tell someone I'm good, even when you deserve to say you're good, so you can make money. You know, like at a certain point, you do have to sell yourself. Not like sell your soul, but you have to sell yourself and say, hey, this is what I've done. These are my accolades. So I've always been really humble. I would say, and I've also learned, I would say, after spending so much time in Thailand, like a little bit of Thai culture is like kind of steeped into me. And then I don't know if it goes back to like the Buddhism of Thailand. It's just like I would say everything is temporary, kind of, right? So like things in life are temporary. Do the best you can in all of it. So whatever I'm doing, whether I have somebody here for a class for 3 weeks or it's just the one class, give it 100%. Don't regret anything, even if it's a mistake, right? So if I make a mistake in life, I couldn't have learned from that mistake, regardless of the impact of it. You know, whether it's me making a mistake in my life or whether it's me making a mistake with someone else. I can't learn not to make that mistake again. Even though it comes at the detriment of whatever it is. So like, whether it's another person, whether it's a job, if I've made that mistake, I couldn't have learned not to repeat that mistake. So that mistake you've made with one could turn into a mistake of you making over and over, multiple people, multiple times in your life. So learn from those things.
And I want to say too, it's also, you're very self-aware, because a lot of times, right, you hear stories of people constantly making the same mistake and you're like, what is going on? Because they're not self-aware. They're not aware of like what's going on. Why is this happening? Why does this keep happening? Let me self-reflect.
Self-awareness for sure. And I also think that, how do I say it? Like a lot of people like to say like, all right, life is short. And I don't view it as that. You know, I really don't view life as being short. You know, like I just think of like I've done so many things in my life and I can still do so many things in my life. And if there's something you want to do, people are like, oh, is it too late for me to fight? Or is it too late for me to travel? It's like, have you really looked into it? You know, like how old are you or whatever? All right, I'm 45. Well, there's a veterans league, right? There's veterans Muay Thai. Are you too old to travel? Like, where do you want to go? You know, like it's like, don't think there's nothing you can't do. Everything isn't for everybody. You know, like everyone can't do everything, but don't think you can't do something if you haven't really looked it up. You know, or have done the research work. Like people will sell themselves short before they even try something, before they even look it up and say, hey, you know what? I really wish that, so maybe I really wish I can go to Thailand one day. It's always been my dream. It's like, have you looked into it? Have you asked anybody who's been? You know, like, oh, I wish I could, but I've got the kids. You can bring the kids. There's little kids running around the gym all the time. They'll train for free. You know, like, yeah, the flight will be more expensive, but you can. Oh, man, like, can I have a, whatever, my arm broke. I'll probably never fight again. There's an amputee fighter who's a Muay Thai champion. I think his last name is Purdy or something. I can't remember his last name, but there's so many things that people cut themselves off of or close the door on without opening that door to a possibility. So, yeah.
I love that. I love that. Mike, thank you so much for hanging out today. Mike, where can they find you? If maybe some of our students, shoot, I don't even know if I don't even have your Instagram yet. Where can we find you at?
Everyone, if you want to find me, like I tell everyone, you got to find me in the streets. So I do not have an Instagram. That Instagram that all you are following, it's Muay Thai Pierce. I have no access to it. I opened that like years ago and I thought I was going to start using it in 2016. I don't even know the password. Haven't used it since. I know you, I'm thanking you for tagging me. I've heard I've been tagged, but I have no access to that. I'm super easy. I always tell people, and people will tell you too, you want to talk to me, ask me for my number, WhatsApp me, all right? WhatsApp me.
And
people
find you at MTK.
Find me at MTK. Like I always say, don't come late to class, but if you come late to class, bring a snack. Also, like I say, I'll give you my number. There's a few people all the time that text me like, hey, Mike, do you know any videos of good punchers? Do you know any videos of female fighters? Do you know? I'll send you. Send you stuff. When info on going to Thailand, hit me up. I'll give you info. All that stuff.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, guys, there you have it. That concludes another episode of Muay Thai Saved Me. I was really happy where our schedules could align today, but to have Coach Mike on. So with that said, if you like this video, you like any of our other content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And just remember, if it's your first time tuning in, this is called Muay Thai Save Me. This is where we like to bring on guests to share their how Muay Thai has impacted their life in a great way. But with that said, stay tuned for next week.